Direi che possiamo iniziare questo webinar. Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti a questo terzo webinar organizzato dalla Camera di Commercio Italiana in Romania. Il webinar di oggi è un po' particolare rispetto agli altri due che abbiamo fatto. Vedo dei partecipanti, insomma, che erano presenti anche agli altri due, perché si terrà in lingua inglese. Quest'oggi si parlerà di tricks and tips in business English presentation, ovvero di suggerimenti e trucchi in determinate situazioni di business. Con noi c'è oggi Costanza Ruscinaru, trainer con oltre 15 anni di esperienza, lavora ed è CEO anche del centro Bell Language di Ploiești, una zona molto sviluppata nell'industria della Romania, e questo ha determinato anche ad operare come trainer anche nell'ambito business, soprattutto nel settore oil and gas. Lavora, come dicevo, anche nel settore accademico ed educativo. È stata premiata dal Cambridge English Qualification as the Best Preparation Center in Romania ed anche per il Plus Level Center del British Council Romania. Io direi di iniziare questo webinar, di non perdere ulteriore tempo e chiedere a Costanza di iniziare. Vorrei un attimino switchare in inglese, visto che sarà in inglese. Costanza, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you? Is everybody all right? Okay, so if you address me any questions, could you please address them in the chat room? And we will ask Giovanni to be very nice and kind to help me while I'm going to share screen my presentation for today. So I will try my best to suit your needs. I'm not quite sure about the level of English you have. Therefore, I will try to speak quite basic English for everybody in the room to manage to understand me, okay? Right. First of all, Giovanni, please tell me if everybody can actually see my my presentation. So if you can actually see it, I'm able to, realize that everybody else is seeing it. Okay? Okay. I'm not able to see the chat room either, so only my presentation and you on the side. Okay? Right. Okay, well, I'm not actually going to tell you the miracle behind it. I'm very sure that everybody is quite aware of what you actually do in a networking event and how you actually rule, and you're in charge of your presentations. But from a professional point of view, I'm only going to brush off the problems you have, and just to have a perfect presentation. Right, so into what we'll be doing today, I'm just going to show you a short video. Imagine yourself, you have those 30 seconds in an elevator, and that's your moment to get your attention to maybe a future client or somebody important you know, and you want to make that perfect presentation. So please bear with me, and let's watch this very short presentation. Could you also tell me if you actually can hear it? Was it okay? Okay.
You're wasting my time here, pal.
Okay?
Stop your crying, Johnson, and get the deal done.
Negotiating is a delicate business.
What are you, a negotiator or something?
Maybe, maybe not.
That's negotiating talk. You should work for me.
Or maybe it would be more profitable if you worked for me.
More negotiating. Business.
Money.
Success.
Handshakes.
Ha!
Okay, so everybody could actually hear it. Giovanni, did you actually hear it? Okay, Well, imagine yourself in this situation and you need to be amazing, okay? So in this presentation, try to imagine you haven't got the chance to make your first impression, okay? So your first impression is going to be one time only, okay? So we'll be talking about how to become a good communicator, how to introduce yourself, which I'm sure you know that, yes? How to introduce your projects and your services, which you actually, this is the product you actually want to sell, yes? How to become an active listener and practically introduce your business and to have your perfect presentation, right? So when you have, and you are a good communicator, try to remember yourself in those networking events when you had to present yourself to your next future partner, maybe. Yes, always pay attention to your non-verbal communication and verbal communication. Your non-verbal communication tells you a lot from what you actually are going to say the next 30 seconds. Pay attention to your body language, your face, yes, and physical appearance, yes. Therefore, after I'm going to tell you a few things related to that, do's and don'ts, we will focus on to each of those subjects, what you will be saying in each verbal communication. Pay attention to your fluency. You need to have an extensive vocabulary if you're going to talk about, let's say, money, financial problems, media. Try to master that vocabulary you're going to be using. Pay attention to your grammar. If you can use accuracy in grammar, that would be brilliant, yes. Use a bit of sense of humor, but do not start laughing out loud, and always be a good listener, okay? So how do we become a good communicator using your body language? Well, always focus on your conversation. Whenever you meet yourself, or you meet new people, try to introduce yourself with a nice smile, but not a big laughter, yes? Do not bring your personal things and problems into that first discussion. Well, always sit up nicely and straight, yes. Listen carefully and do not interrupt until the other speaker has finished the conversation. Always maintain your open arms. You know, some business people prefer also in their photos to keep their arms folded. Well, pay attention to that, because it says in business, okay, you are in charge, you know what you're doing. But whenever you're taking this position, always pay attention how your suit actually fits your posture, okay? Pay attention to the tone of your voice and always point out the key important points, okay? Observe the reaction of the other people. I'm not able to observe your reactions now. If you'll probably be in my room, and we will be face to face, obviously I will realize if any of you will have problems in understanding me. But depending on what you're actually seeing on their face, that could actually help you to make clarifications whenever they are needed. Okay, while you're networking and you have a discussion with a group of people, try to shift your eyes with the other speakers. You are not going to focus on one person only, okay? Always keep yourself a neat and nice appearance, yes? Do not use too much perfume or aftershaves. For ladies, do not use too much makeup, yes? Avoid during the meeting to take your drinks with you during the meeting room, because that is a distraction. Sometimes presenters might feel offended if you are having a drink during the meeting. Yes, do not use extensive body language. Use some animation with your hands, but not extensively. And try not to interrupt. Try to save those questions at the end of the meeting when the presenter is actually giving you the word. There are a few other more things I actually set up here, but anyway, I'm sure this is going to be recorded and my slides will be given to you later on. Right, we are going back to the elevator time, yes, and to the networking events you actually do having. And I actually put up here a list of things that maybe you're interested to say. Try to keep yourself in mind the moment you had your last meeting with somebody, networking event, from all those things there: name, address, nationality, qualifications, job title, company, responsibility, company location, purpose of visit, and family information. How many of those things have you actually used during those 30 seconds, which I told you are the most important? Well, right, always we mention our name, because some of you, well, all of us come from different nationalities. Maybe some names are different to pronounce. Pause, yes, between the names, and say it out clearly, yes. Nationality, I'm always interested to know, for instance, where you're coming from. So that would be a good point to address immediately after you mention your name. What's your job title? Because you're representing that business, you're the image first of all, and the company name. Where is it located? Is it in Romania? Is it in Italy? And the pitch. Well, you'll be thinking, what is the pitch? Where the pitch is, what's the reason for me to talk to you? Give me a reason, anything, that I will be talking to you. If I will probably go and speak to a lady, I will probably ask her about her shoes, because why are our first minute probably idea of me talking to that lady, okay? Right, I also have shared with you some useful phrases, which many of you actually know it. My name is, hello. Pay attention to the politeness, okay? And the pitch and tone of your voice is very important to use a proper intonation, yes? Say where you're from. I'm from Italy, I'm from Brazil, yes? I'm a project manager, yes? I work for Petrobras, as I gave you here an example. I work for Bell Languages, yes? What's the company's location? Well, my company is located in Ploiești, Romania. Why am I here? Well, I'm responsible for the team which does this, yes? And I'm here to meet another contractor, or depending on what's the reason for going there. Is there a presentation related to sales? So I'm here because I'm interested in this or that. Right, whenever we have a presentation, yes, and we are having our first meeting, always be careful. When shaking hands, yes, wait until the other person is offering. And something that I don't know how many of you actually realize, pay attention, your palms are dry, yes, and they're not dirty. Maybe you had a quick snack earlier on. Do not shake my hand with the snack on it, okay? Try to make pertinent jokes, yes, depending who you're dealing with. A nice joke, not too much, would be nice, because sometimes if you're trying too much, they might be misunderstood, or the other person might be insulted, yes. Asking the people to do something. Whenever you have your first meeting, you're not going to address that something you could do with me, for me, to the other person, okay? They might not be able to help you, or maybe they don't want to. Okay, whenever you have the talk and you do not understand something, do not mention what, because it's impolite, yes? So let's try to be thinking like something like, could you repeat please? Depending of the other people, yes, I beg your pardon. Pay attention to this. I will give you this slide. I beg your pardon. Could you actually repeat that, please? I haven't paid attention. Okay. You do not want to annihilate the people. You want to encourage them to speak more to you, or to even call you after that for future reference. Whenever we are meeting the other people for the first time, we are interested about, we need to pay attention to the business culture. How do you address in Europe is different on how you address to Asia, yes? Give your business card in Europe anytime, yes? We do not need a special presentation when you're not telling your life story or your biography in the first 30 seconds. Yes, you hand it with one hand. Yes, you put it in your pocket, and if you want, you can write some extra information on the back of your card. It's not the same thing you will be doing if you hand in your business card to a business partner from Asia. You never write on your business card because it's offending. Okay. Right. Now is the moment when you're actually thinking, what's the next step? So I've presented myself. I need to present my product. I need to sign the contract. This is the deal. I have a short presentation for you, 20 seconds. And I want you, all of you, to think of the message at the end of it. How did it look like compared to what I'm going to do next? Just a second, let me see. Yes, you can hear it. Okay, right. So who could possibly think this was a presentation for a car? Right. So if we look at this, it was short, it was striking. Were you actually able to read all this information? Well, I don't know about you, but I've managed to do it. It's my job to do this. So whenever you have the presentation, the next, try to be thinking how it has to be. It has to be clear. It has to give you all the information. It has to be simple. And always keep in mind you have some stages that you need to follow up. Right. So what are you working on? Probably some of you will be thinking you all can see my GIF on the other side. That's because I don't know how many of you will actually realize what is on there. Well, I'm telling you, they're actually drilling for oil. Yes. The purpose of this is to make a whale from where they will extract obviously the oil. This is actually the process of how to do the drilling, how they are making the hole, and how they extract the mud and put it on the other side. So always your project needs a title. As I told you here in the example, it's how they are drilling the well. So what's the name of it? What's the aim of your project? So what's the next step? What's my purpose? Why do I do this? Yes. If they're interested in the process, okay, mention the process. How have you organized the whole project? Yes. What's the outcome, or what are the plus things at the end of it? What is the result? Okay. Here, I will just give you some of the expressions that are quite useful for you whenever you are going to do the presentation for your project or your product. Okay, so always in the project title, you are focusing on the focus on my current project is this. The project I'm working right now is this one. Yes, what's the aim? The aim and the objectives of this project are this, and that. As I said to you about the picture we had on the other side, well, what's the purpose of it? Is to remove the mud we have while drilling the hole onto the exterior. Yes, what is the process? And here definitely you know what has been the process. You have 3 stages. It's how you plan it, how you have built it, and how you're actually running it. What are the phases? Is it the project? Are you in a research? Are you in dissemination period? Okay. What is the outcome? What are the plus things after I am finishing the project? Well, it will increase my customer support or my performance. Yes, it's or it's about the timing, where if you are going to use my project, yes, it will be completed by, or the project is due to the end of. It's going to help the customer service. Now, how do you listen to your other speakers? Well, being a good listener is always the secret of successful networking. And always, if you are an active listener, you are always a good talker. Yes, because whenever we meet in a networking event, you will find non-listeners who are going to talk about their project, about themselves. They are going to be marginal listeners, or the people who are actually listen to your presentation, but the moment they found an interesting thing, they will be using that to start their own introduction, okay? The pretended listeners who are going actually to look at you, to have an idea and to think about your character that they have behind the image of what you are, and the active listeners. And here we have to concentrate, and I will give you some questions where you can actually address to the other person so they can tell you more about themselves. Imagine you're going to meet an important client, and that small talk is very important. Okay, so when you show interest, so how are things? How is it going? Wow, that sounds great. How interesting. Really? Well, you show the surprise. Wow, no, really? Show the speaker. Oh dear, because you have to be interested to how they felt about the process, okay? Show their support. I'm sure we can fix this. No problem, we'll deal with it. Reassure them. Do not worry about this. I'm sure we can fix this. And praise and congratulate them for what they have done. Well done. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Right. I've mentioned at some points about the small talk. Try to remember that always unimportant things will always have open the way you have to open a very close relationship with a future partner. Because whenever you are talking, you are going to talk to people. You'll never talk to the stereotype of the person that is representing that culture. Okay, always let's try to think of some neutral discussions. Yes, you would probably like to ask them about their national experience. Yes, the country they have come from, the regional experience, the professional experience. Yes, obviously, maybe you will find out they have a good experience in sales, and maybe you can share some from that experience. Try to talk about their personal experience, education. Maybe they have traveled to places you haven't been to, right? Pay attention to the icebreaker. You always want to go there, have a small talk, and use the secret. Yes, talking about sport is one of the perfect icebreaker. The weather. I don't know if you're actually familiar with this. The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. Yes, it's a line that it was used in My Fair Lady, the film, the movie. This young lady who did not speak at all proper, elegant, nice English, but she could master this sentence. Yes, the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. And from this small thing, she could actually build a whole conversation with people she did not meet. If you have got this opportunity or haven't seen it already, My Fair Lady is what refers to weather in this situation. Okay, talk about general business. I'm sure to these areas you actually go, you can be talking about how to sell coffee, for instance. I'm sure everybody drinks coffee in those situations. Okay. Talking about family, pay attention. Some people are happy to be talking about that as an icebreaking. If you see they don't want to go and talking about their family, do not put pressure on them, right? Always pay attention in not causing offense. Whenever you use an icebreaker, the opposite for this one will be an ice maker. There will be, you'll never be talking about religion. in a networking event. You will never be talking about politics, okay? Unless you can ask politely to be talking about a sensitive person and the other person is happy to be talking about it, right? So how do we ask about sensitive questions? Here I've been using some useful expressions for you. Do you mind if I ask you about, and see the reaction he has? Yes, would you mind if I asked you about this? Could I ask a delicate question? And here, let's see how the other person is actually answering back. If he's not happy to continue, to stop and avoid the discussion, yes? How to avoid difficult or sensitive subjects. Imagine you are on the other side and somebody else is asking, it's addressing you this question. I would rather not discuss about it, yes? If you don't mind, I would prefer not to talk about it. Can we change the subject? And I'm sure the other person will understand the message and swap it, yes? How to agree to talk about a sensitive subject, yes? Somebody wants to talk politics with you, okay? Do you mind if I ask you about that? Okay, not at all, go ahead. Okay, feel free to ask me that, no problem. What would you like to know, yes? How do you apologize if you raise a sensitive area in the conversation, okay, and they feel offended, right? I'm sorry if I said the wrong thing, yes. I'm sorry, I did not mean to cause the offense, yes. I'm afraid I may have caused offense. If so, I'm sorry about that. Right. How to introduce your business, right? I'm sure all of you gentlemen, I can't see if there are any ladies around here, but a good presentation is always like a miniskirt, yes, short enough, short enough to maintain the interest, and long enough to cover the subject. And there you have the young lady sitting over there. I'm sure all of us will be looking at what she's wearing now. Right, so always tell to the audience what they are going to say, yes? So you are going to say that, present it at the beginning, tell them what you are saying it, explain the stages, right? And tell them you have said it. What is at the end, the aim, the goal of your presentation? Do they understand it? Make sure they actually understand the message you're actually telling them. Right. Always, we have to know this. What you want to achieve. So I have this presentation with you. At the end of this webinar, what do I want to achieve? Do I want to exchange information with you? Do I want to sell the product with you? Or do I want to change behavior? Is it a motivational webinar or not? Yeah, so in this situation, I want to exchange some information. I'm going to give you some useful tips and tricks into business English, into conversation. How do you organize the meeting? Yes. What's the message? What are the main points? Always raise the voice and point out, highlighting the stages of the presentation. Yes. What are the takeaways? What is the information I'm going to be left at the end with? Give examples. Yes, as I have said to you through my presentation up till now, imagine yourself into the networking event. You are in this situation. This is the examples. Those are the examples I gave you. Pay attention to the audience. Yeah, so I know that most of you have a B1, A2 level of English. Therefore, my English doesn't have to be too academic. So I try to set up here that I need to speak in a lower level of English. Yes. I need to make sure you understand the information I gave you, yes? Maybe you're not familiar, I don't know, with the techniques in teaching academic English or the IELTS academic exams. Therefore, I'm not going to be using that information. What are your interests? Where do you come from? You came here because you want to learn this and that. What is the environment? Do you come from the sales department, banking department? Are you interested in those terms or not? What are your needs? Yes, I'm meeting with those clients. I need to know this. I need to master those expressions because I will be using this into my presentations. What are my expectations? Yes, so if you would like to have a presentation into academic, yes, I will be using pie charts, graphs to show you different sales and trends into a certain area through a certain period of time. how do we organize our presentation? This is very important, the stages. Right, so you always have to signpost it. So this is what I have said to you at the beginning of this topic, whenever you have the presentation, what you are actually saying. So tell the topic, how long does it take? The main points you are making is this and this and this. Tell them if and when they can ask the questions at the beginning, so at the end of our webinar, you can actually ask questions might be interested to you. Signal. In the signal here, what you're actually saying is the middle. Yes, we have in a presentation a beginning. It's like a story. The beginning, the middle, and the ending. So here we are in the middle. Tell the audience when they are beginning each point, the stages. First of all, secondly, finally. Tell them when you have finished the point. Yes, and your audience will know where your presentation is, so you actually avoid confusion, that you know exactly when you actually passed through the whole thing. Summarizing at the end, so this is what actually have said throughout your presentation. Make a clear ending, the conclusion point, where you actually summarize the main points, you gave the conclusion, and invite the questions. Okay. So how do you organize your presentation? Here I have given you some useful tips, useful expressions whenever you make that first bit of your presentation, the beginning. Yes. The title, my presentation is entitled to, I would like to talk about my current project. Yes, I would like to give you an update about the sales into this, about everybody now is with coronavirus, we all suffer from this. Yes, I would like to give you an update about the sales we had throughout this period of 2 months into this department or to this problem. Yes, the duration of my presentation would last 45 minutes from what I'm aware of. Yes, what's the main point? As I said to you at the beginning, we'll be talking about how to be a good communicator. Yes, how you will present yourself in a networking event, those 30 seconds. Yes, and therefore you'll have the main points. Yes, my first bit is, my second stage is, the third point I want to make is this. The questions, yes, if you have any question, please feel free to interrupt, if you agree to interrupt, yes. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at the end of our webinar, yes. How do you organize your presentation, yes? Imagine you have a graph, like I have given you here in the presentation, and you need to signalize the phases, yes. So you actually have to say the main part of your presentation. Yes, my fourth point is, so you actually do the stages and you tell them step by step what you actually in order, yes, nicely and neat, yes, to what you're going to say and how you're going to say. My first point is, that is my first point, yes, the other way around. My second point is, secondly, yes, this is my second point, yes. My final point is this or that. If you want to add information to what you have said earlier on, don't be afraid to be using moreover. Furthermore, it's very nice, very academic said, and all the audience will have always the image that you are a very good speaker and you master certain expressions that could be easily and nicely used in a presentation. Right. How do you use your presentation when you're summarizing? Some phrases, useful phrases you can use. So in this presentation, I have made, yes, because it's finished, yes, I have made 3 points. This was the first one, this was the second one, this was the final one. The conclusion bit, yes, in conclusion, I think that all in a nutshell, I have also put you there some very nice expressions that some ambassadors, you like them. So depending on the audience, if you know that you're going to meet, let's say, somebody who masters very well the level of English, do not be afraid to show them that your knowledge of English is quite good, quite high. Yes, all in a nutshell, as a final thought, as to my mind, at the end of my presentation, you'll know this and that. Thank you then for listening. Yes. Questions? Well, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer to them now. Yes. Do you have any questions or any questions? Pay attention to your audience. If they're happy to be for you to be informal, well, be happy to be informal. But if you are business related and there are people you don't know, I won't be using that expression. Yes. So if you have any questions, please or feel free to address or answer them. Thank to the audience. Okay. Good presenters always use those 4 techniques. Why? You need to hook the ones that are listening. Well, hook. Think about you going fishing. Yes, you need to catch the fish, and you need a hook. So try to catch the other people's attention, get them in there, make them to pay attention. Yes, you're flagging it. What is it to flag it? Tell me what is important and what would you be using here. Use the most important stages, expressions, firstly, secondly, thirdly. Yes. Bridging. What is a bridging? Bridging is the bridge, yes, over the water, yes. Make a clear bridge, refer always between the points. As I said before, yes, this expression is useful here, as I said earlier, yes, what expressions would you be using in this situation? Always use the bridge to what we do this process because it's useful, you know, to increase our production in this department. It's bridging. Yes, looping. Looping, think about a circle. Yes, always refer to what you said earlier. As I said in my presentation, as I said earlier at the beginning of my presentation, you are in a networking event, you have those 30 seconds of presenting yourself. What do you do? It's looping, yes? Okay. Good presenters use the phrases like, what do you use in hooking? So to grab the attention. Let me tell you something interesting about that. I would like to offer you some ideas in this because that's the reason those people attend your presentation. They're interested to find out some things. So you are there and you're telling them, I want to share with you from my experience. Imagine a world without telephones if you're selling the product there. Yes. Can you imagine a world without electricity if you're selling electric power? Yes. Imagine a world without chocolate. Yes. You're selling the product. You're selling the chocolate. Oh my God, I hope the world will not live without chocolate. Okay. Flagging. You're emphasizing what is important. This is a really crucial point, and you're highlighting through your tone, yes, and your tone, voice tone, and the stages of your presentation. This is an important thing I want to make. This is vitally important. Make no mistake, this really matters, yes? Right. How do we bridge expressions that we use the bridging, yes, to correlate it to what you said a minute before? Yes, another point I want to make, yes, the stages you do in the presentation. Following that, we need to discuss about this. Let me turn now to my next point. This brings me to the final point. Yes, another good expression you'll be using. Looping, reinforcing to what you have said before. As I said earlier, good expressions, those ones. You may remember what I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. Yes, in my case, yes. Coming back to what I said before. When I do the example, I have mentioned the process. Right. From what we have at this stage, which applies in your opinion? When you are a good communicator, and which one is a bad one? Well, let's think about that. You need to be articulate. If you're a good communicator, yes. This means you need to be using proper, good language, clear. Yes, you're not going to ramble as the second thought there. You need to be focused. You're not just going to speak about the product you're selling and suddenly you change the subject, okay? You need to be coherent, yeah, so you need to master the language you're doing the presentation. You need to master the subject you are teaching or you're presenting. If you haven't got a clue, do some research and after that come back, yes. you need to be responsive. Responsive meaning responsive to what you see on their face, to clarify if they have problems in understanding. Do not ramble. Rambling is when you're speaking on your own and somewhere like on your own here, yes, rambling things that nobody actually understands. You need to be fluent. Yes. Do not use pauses a lot. Even if you master that, if you'll be using those and pauses a lot, it gives you the impression you don't know the subject. Yes. Do not be hesitant. Yes, that is not a good thing when you're a good communicator. Be sensitive to what the other person is actually asking you or telling you about. Yes. Do not be inhibited. Yes. Do not be reserved. Be succinct. This means short and clear. Not too much because it's not the story of your life there. Okay. And as a whole, at the end, I would like you to sit in, gentlemen. We are all doing webinars nowadays. Therefore, I think it would be a nice thing to end up our presentation now. So take a few seconds to watch this gentleman giving us some tips at the end of my presentation.
Hi guys, I trust you're well and managing to avoid the coronavirus. I'm happily retired now, but I imagine most of you guys will be working from home and must resort to Zoom or FaceTime or Skype for your video conferencing. Well, that's all well and good, but even though you're working from home, it is essential to retain some standards of sartorial elegance. And with that in mind, I've invented the Zoom suit. With a little practice, in less than 10 seconds, you'll be able to jump off the sofa, put down your beer, turn off the TV, and jump into the Zoom suit for those all-important meetings. There we go. Oops, almost forgot the hat. This is a prototype version with a single Velcro fastener at the back and a separate cuff in case you need to use your hands at any time during the meeting. Of course, you can continue to drink beer as long as you first pour it into a bone china cup and don't forget to raise the pinky. I've also invented a backdrop for those wanting to appear a little more pretentious in their home offices. Anyway, that's about it. I've attached some instructions at the end of this video if you want to make your own Zoom suit. Now I suppose it's back to the sofa. So, cheers and stay safe.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening to me today. Now I will be addressing the questions. Do you have any questions?
Constanza, thanks very much for your presentation.
Thank you for inviting me. That was really my pleasure.
It was very interesting for all of us. I have some questions for you.
Please do.
How do we overcome problems in order to have successful conference call?
Wow, that is a good question because we are in the position of having conference calls. Well, always at the beginning, agree and say hello to everybody. Yes. Check that you haven't got any accessories around yourself that make noises. You know, some people during our webinars or meetings tend to type to other people or tend to answer other messages. Well, try not to have your phone on and have, yes, I'm happy you're having your coffee. Well done. It's the good point we are supposed to end our presentation here. Yes, make sure your devices are on mute. Yes, that's not nice to interrupt your boss or the one that's chairing the meeting. Yes. So ladies, if you have noisy jewelry, try to keep it, yes, underneath your t-shirt. Try to avoid the dead air. You know, there are people, as I found throughout this period, that have a deaf air moment, as we call it. Yes, try not to leave those gaps into the speaking part. Try to make it like, yes, you know, you're mastering, you're in charge of what you're saying. You see what I mean? Because otherwise you give the impression you're not in charge of what you're going to say, and the other people do not know if you're in charge of the subject. Do you know what you're actually saying? Yes? If you're the chair at the end, thank everybody for their attendance. Yes? I think it's also interesting if I'm having a meeting, if I would know all of you, maybe to check if everybody's in the room, to speak one at a time. If everybody speaks at the same time, we will not understand ourselves. So maybe if we will give ourselves a moment to say, hello, I'm here today, yes, and maybe repeat the question, as I said, using those nice expressions. I have said to you, could you repeat please? I beg your pardon. We actually repeat that again. Yeah, that was a good question, actually.
Another one.
Oh, yes, go on then.
Any advice you could give us while having a conference call?
Yes. Very important, what's your background? You know, some people tend to have important things on their walls. Pay attention not to have something confidential around here. There was a situation, and this is true, honestly. My secretary, I was having a meeting with my secretary, and she has a cork board here, and she put some stuff important. And I said, do you know what? I could see the copy of that ID card behind you. So that wasn't actually very professional. Well, anyway, I was interested of the information she had here because we were working together. But if I have a presentation with you guys, I don't want to see your personal things around there. Pay attention what is on your table as well. If I'm actually going to have, I don't know, if my whole table, you're going to see it, try to keep it neat, yes? Pay attention how you're dressed during a formal presentation. And I think here, my last video with that gentleman having the kit, yes, that is very handy. And I think that would be good for all of us to have it now. And I think, yes, make sure everybody can see you. As I had earlier, I didn't have the impression I had the impression you could hear my video. So a thing here will be checking if you could hear what I'm saying, what I'm sending you, the information. Can you check if you see my presentation, the video? Wave the people at the end, thank them. Bye, see you maybe next time.
Next.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
How to deal with interruption and questions during presentations.
Wow, yes, that is a good one. Well, even if you're during a presentation online, or you are doing a presentation face-to-face, how to deal with interruptions, always thank them. And as I just said it earlier, how to deal with interruptions. In the meantime, I repeated the question in my head, answer, yes? So thank them, repeat the question so I can make sure I understand it. And you guys got the idea and you know the question, yes? Check if you understand the question, yes? And I think that's fairly enough, yes?
Okay.
Anything else?
How to stop interruptions?
How do I deal with interruptions? Well, always you're in charge, yes? Depending what the other person is actually interrupting. Is he or she interrupting you in the middle of your sentence? And ask them nicely, thank them for the interruption, and ask them nicely for you to leave you to finish what you're supposed to say, yes? But keep in control. You're in control there. You are in charge. You are chairing the meeting. So do not leave them to take control. It's like teaching children. I think this is like teaching children, honestly. Because when I was teaching very young ones, I used to tell them, well, is it in English? The question is in English. And they were like, oh my God, it's not in English. And I used to tell them, well, at the end of my presentation, if it's not in English, then you can address and we can talk about your red, nice shoes you're wearing today. Right. Anything else? Any other one?
Next, the last one. What to say if I do not, I don't know the answer?
Wow, yes. They might ask you something that you have not prepared for. I haven't prepared for the questions you actually gave me. So those are very good. Well, from my experience now, I was able to answer those questions, yes. But how about if you're not in charge of the answer? A good thing if you are with another member of the team, if you ask them to join the discussion, that would be good. If, you know, ask the colleague and say, well, are we able to answer the gentleman's question? Or if they need more info, or do not leave that person without you answering to their problem. Okay, if you, what else we did during trainings, because I also train other people is to become trainers, yes. Be smart. You always need to be one step before the other people. I always turn the question, what would you do in this situation? This is what I do. If imagine we are all in this position, what would you do? Or if I'm not able to do that, well, how about I'm going to take a note on what you're actually telling me now, and I'll come back to you and you give me the details about that, and definitely go back the next minute. And I have to say, I was in a position like this. As soon as I returned from UK, I got a short job of teaching business. I never thought business up to that point. I was very familiar with the terms, and but never knew the process because I wasn't working in a bank. I never worked in a bank before. And that person actually wanted to know what he's actually doing in that situation. And I said, well, I know the vocabulary, definitely. I wrote it down, and I said, well, I'll come back to you and tell you exactly, because I haven't worked in a bank. I don't know how the process works. Yes, so take the notes and go back to the person. Do not leave them without a pertinent answer to what they asked.
Good. Constanza, our webinar is coming to end, and someone write in the chat room, very interesting. It would be great to have the contact of Constanza for a possible collaboration with my group.
Thank you.
May I ask you if you can write your emails or your phone
Yes,
number?
would you like me to write it here in the chat room? Yes, sure. Which is Constanza Ruscinaru, my name. We are in the position of writing an email. There you go. How do you make sure, if I haven't got the chat room here, how would I write it and make sure the other person got it correctly? So, make sure, as I said, you do the spacing, yes? Make it clear. So it's my name, Constanza, and you can master English, spell it. It's C-O-N-S-T-A-N-T-A. Well, I have the fluency, but if you do not master it, just pause after each letter, yes? We have dot, yes? It's not full stop. Full stop is at the end of a sentence, yes? It's dot. Ruscinaru, that is R-U-S-I-N-A-R-U, at, hold on, I can't find my keys around here, at Gmail, and I assume now this one everybody knows it, .com. Gmail as in G-M-A-L-I-L.com. There you go.
Thank you. Ruscinaru, I suppose, came from shy, but you don't seem to be very shy.
No, I got married and he got this name. I had to ask him to marry me. There you go. He is the reason I'm in Romania. Otherwise, okay. Thank you very much for today. So if you have any questions, sorry, yeah.
Okay, thanks for being here.
Thank you. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
See you next time. Thank you.